Hi, I'm Muhammed Hamdan and this is Nightline, the top stories. Padu data will not be misused, says Communications Minister.
Database that is meant to accurately gauge.
And fourth wave of northeast monsoon moving south. Good morning. We begin with this headlining story. The government has assured that the Central Database Hub, or PADU, will not be exploited as campaign material in the next general election. Unity government spokesperson Tufami Fazil said this in response to criticism by political activist Shahrir Adnan, in which he hoped that data collected would be used for political purposes.
Saya percaya kalaupun sebelum ini ada pihak yang menyalahguna, kita tidak berhasrat untuk melakukan perkara yang sama. Cara kita berkempen berbeza, insya-Allah tidak akan menyalahgunakan. Tapi fungsi PADU adalah untuk memberi rakyat peluang untuk memasukkan data secara near real time.
Fahmi said this to the media after attending the Jualan Termurah Demi Rakyat community sales in Pantai Dalam on Saturday. PADU, which was launched on January 2nd, is a comprehensive database that is meant to accurately gauge the nation's socio-economic status to disburse targeted subsidies. However, concerns about potential abuse and data security arose as the government is exempted from liability under the Personal Data Protection Act.
Government agencies and residents in the southern region have been urged to be alert and adhere to standard operating procedures (SOPs) to face the fourth wave of the northeast monsoon, which is now moving through the south. Deputy Prime Minister Datuk Seri Ahmad Hamidi said state agencies and committees need to be ready to take immediate action to deal with disasters brought about by the monsoon, including floods.
Gelombang keempat MTL musim Timur Laut ini telah beralih ke selatan dan saya harap tindakan-tindakan segera mengikut SOP yang telah ditentukan oleh NADMA dan juga APM dan lain-lain agensi dapat diikuti oleh semua jawatankuasa dan juga agensi-agensi yang terlibat.
He said this to the media after visiting the landslide disaster site in the Orang Asli settlement of Sungai Ruil, Tanah Rata, Pahang on Saturday. Earlier, Ahmad Zahid, who is also the National Disaster Management Committee chairman, visited the Temporary Relief Centre, PPS, of the Sungai Ruil Orang Asli Kampung Hall, which housed 88 victims from 17 families affected by the incident on October 12 last year. Commenting on the flood situation in Johor, he said that the number of victims has risen again, but with the cooperation of the agencies involved, flood management was found to be improving based on the experience from previous years.
The water level at the Air Hitam Dam in Pulau Pinang has decreased to 66.7%, but it is still sufficient to supply water for up to 66 days, including during the scheduled 4-day water supply disruption in the state starting January 10th. Chief Minister Chow Keon Yao said that the significant decrease is attributed to a recent pipe leakage incident in Sungai Perai, Butterworth, as it required an increased production of treated water from the Air Hitam reservoir compared to the usual amount.
Chow said that the current water level at the Air Hitam Dam is 66.7%, and he was informed that the incident in Sungai Perai caused a decline compared to the previous water level of 83% because the production of the treated water was about 22 million litres per day, MLD, before this. Hiawatha, during the pipe leakage incident, the State Water Supply Corporation, PBAPP, had to increase the production of treated water from the Air Hitam reservoir to 40 MLD due to disrupted supply in several areas at that time to be distributed to those experiencing water supply problems. He said that it is expected that the water percentage at the Air Hitam Dam will continue to decrease to 57% in the coming week during the scheduled water supply disruption, as the PBAPP needs to extract more water for treatment from there for distribution to affected residents until January 15th. Chow stated that as of now, the state government does not plan to request cloud seeding operations due to the reduction in the water level at the Air Hitam Reservoir because it has not reached a critical level. A total of 590,000 water users, including non-domestic consumers, are expected to be affected by the water supply disruption due to the closure of the Sungai Dua water treatment plant to make way for the replacement of two damaged 1,200mm valves.
There will be no changes to the scheduled 2023 Sijil Pelajaran Malaysia XPM examinations, which are set to commence on Monday, despite the recent flood situation. Johor Education and Information Committee Chairman Nurliza Noor said 9 primary schools were converted to temporary flood relief centres in 3 districts, namely Mersing, Kluang and Kota Tinggi, to house about 1,000 flood victims. This coming Monday, over 40,000 students are expected to sit for their 2023 SPM examinations, which were scheduled to end on March 7th. As of 10 p.m, the number of flood evacuees in Johor had dropped to 344 people at 6 relief centres. According to the Info Bencana JKM website, 3 of the relief centres are in Kota Tinggi with 84 evacuees, and 2 in Mersing with 176 evacuees, and 1 in Kluang with 84 evacuees. The Sultan of Johor, Sultan Ibrahim Sultan Iskandar, has decreed that he will no longer grant any audiences starting Saturday until January 31st. The ruler said he will not accept any more appointments except for events that have been fixed prior and weekly audiences with the Menteri Besar and state government representatives.
In his social media post on Saturday, he said from January 6 onwards, until he took his oath as the Yang di-Pertuan Agong, he will not be accepting any more requests for an audience with him. The Sultan of Johor said that during this time, he wished to spend quality time with his family before undertaking this enormous responsibility and trust. Sultan Ibrahim had been elected as the 17th Yang di-Pertuan Agong for a 5-year term, effective January 31st this year. He will replace Al-Sultan Abdullah Riayatuddin Al-Mustafa Billah Shah, whose reign will end on January 30th.
Datuk Sri Johari Abdul Ghani said that the government needs to take stern measures against companies that mislead foreign workers with employment offers and then abandon them once they get in Malaysia. The Plantation and Commodities Minister said to prevent Malaysia from becoming known as a refuge for forced labour and human trafficking, the government must address the persistent problem.
While breaking down the problem surrounding foreign workers in the country, Johari stressed the importance of further tightening the group's recruitment procedures, which include only allowing companies to get quotas of foreign workers when they apply for the manpower themselves.
Jadi saya nak pastikan bahawa mereka kena bertanggungjawab. Sama ada agensi atau syarikat kena bertanggungjawab. Apabila dia mendapat kuota untuk bawa foreign workers ni, dia dah tahu bahawa foreign worker ni adalah untuk industri mereka ataupun industri yang berkaitan dengan 3D tu. Difficult, dangerous entity. Something like that. Itu yang kita nak tekankan.
Johari, who previously suggested a fine of up to 30,000 ringgit per worker to be imposed against companies that fail to provide jobs for foreign workers that they bring in, said that those agencies or employers that are not involved in such practices should not be worried about being fined by the authorities. He said his proposal for irresponsible companies and agencies to be fined is also meant as a deterrence against unscrupulous parties from exploiting the system, but received an objection from Federation of Malaysian Manufacturers FMM President Tan Sri Soe Tian Lai. The minister, however, reiterated that those not out to exploit foreign workers would have nothing to fear and should not be worried about getting fined.
And in support of the Plantation and Commodities Minister's suggestion, a former Member of Parliament has added his voice to the chorus. Former Klang MP Charles Santiago, in endorsing the proposal, urged the government to impose substantial fines on companies guilty of misleading foreign workers with false job promises.
Santiago, however, took the proposition a step further. He recommended a higher fine of at least 50,000 ringgit to be levied against each unscrupulous company for every deceived worker. He explained the fines should cover not only the amount paid by the foreign workers to the agent in their home country, but also the loss of wages and arrangements for the duped workers to return to their home country. Santiago said that the amount of the fines should also take into consideration the interest rate of bank loans applied by foreign workers to pay the recruitment fees to the agents in their home country. He said in some occasions they are also subjected to paying interest on the loans they applied to pay the recruitment fees. The former MP also said that compounding the situation is that the foreign workers did not get a job or were not paid when they arrived in the country. And again, he said they have to borrow to pay back, so that is also a cost for them.
Meanwhile, a special meeting between the Home and Human Resources Ministries will take place on January 16th to specifically address foreign worker issues and propose freezing foreign worker quota applications to the Cabinet. In a joint statement, Home Minister Datuk Sri Saifuddin Nasution Ismail and Human Resources Minister Stephen Sim Chi Keong said such actions were taken to ensure employers fulfill their responsibilities towards their foreign workers. Both ministers said that they took the matter seriously and will not compromise with any party involved in exploiting foreign workers, leading to forced labour and human trafficking. The two ministries have outlined 7 actions, including legal measures under the Immigration Act, Anti-Trafficking in Persons and Anti-Smuggling of Migrants Act, Employment Act and the Minimum Standards of Housing Accommodation and Employee Facilities Act. The ministers have also planned several short and long-term actions, including improving existing acts and policies to strengthen the management of foreign workers while focusing on workers' rights and welfare. We're going for a short break. When we return, child among 4 dead in train arson attack.
Jangan pandang ringan dan mudah. Anggap batuk awak ini serius. Woods ubat batuk dengan rasa pudina. Memberi sensasi kelegaan di kerongkong. Berkesan melegakan batuk. Woods ubat batuk yang saya percaya.
Hello Doktor, melihat perkembangan terkini dalam dunia kesihatan.
COVID-19 ini sebenarnya dia ada pattern dia sendiri. Memang ada peningkatan daripada bulan 11 lagi sehinggalah sekarang.
Apakah langkah bagi menangani penyakit tidak berjangkit?
Penyakit tidak berjangkit ni selalunya dikaitkan dengan amalan cara hidup kita.
2024 Malaysia Sihat di Hello Doktor, Ahad 5.30 petang di TV3 dan stream juga melalui Tonton.
We're back with news from the foreign front. Hezbollah said it hit a key Israeli observation post on Saturday with 64 rockets as a preliminary response to the killing of Hamas's deputy chief Saleh al-Abruri earlier this week. Its chief Hassan Nasrallah said the group would not be silent about a violation of this magnitude and that the war could present a historic opportunity for Lebanon to regain control over territory currently occupied by the Zionist regime. Meanwhile, Gaza's health ministry said at least 122 Palestinians were killed in the past 24 hours, while 256 others wounded in Israel's recent attacks. The Zionist shelling killed 22 Palestinians, including many women and children in Han Yunis's Al-Manara neighborhood. In the occupied West Bank, Palestinians were reeling from another night of violent raids, with fierce clashes reported in Nablus City and Shufat refugee camp. To date, the death toll in Gaza has surged to at least 22,722 Palestinians, with 58,166 others wounded. In the US, a passenger plane lost a section of its fuselage in mid-air, forcing it to make an emergency landing in the state of Oregon on Friday. The Alaska Airlines Boeing 737 MAX 9 returned to Portland 35 minutes into its flights to California after an outer section, including a window, fell. The flight 1282, however, landed safely with 174 passengers and 6 crew members. Following the incident, the airline said it would temporarily ground all 65 of its 737 MAX 9 aircraft to conduct inspections. In Bangladesh, at least 4 people, including a child, died in a suspected arson attack on a passenger train on the eve of a general election that the main opposition party is boycotting. 8 others were injured when the fire spread to 4 compartments of the Dhaka-bound Pineapple Express around 9 p.m. local time on Friday. An official at the Wari police station said police suspected sabotage and would be able to confirm the cause of the fire only after the investigation. Senior BNP official Ruhul Kabir Rifzi said the incident was undoubtedly an act of sabotage and cruelty against humanity, blaming the ruling party for it. In separate incidents, unidentified arsonists set fire to at least 5 primary schools, including 4 polling booths. Police were investigating the fires in Ghazipur, on the outskirts of capital Dhaka, but suspected that wrongdoers aiming to disrupt Sunday's election had set fire to the schools in the middle of the night. The UK health officials warned that thousands of cancer patients could die early if ministers and junior doctors do not urgently resolve their bitter pay row. According to them, patients diagnosed with typically less survival cancers such as lung, liver and brain were particularly at risk from the disruption caused by the strikes. They stressed that any delay to treatments in these cases could severely limit their options and mean even worse survival prospects. It was reported that tens of thousands of patients have had cancer appointments, treatments and operations cancelled since the strikes began about 13 months ago. The current 6-day strike is the 9th time junior doctors have stopped working in the last year and the longest to hit the health service since it was founded in 1948. This intervention will pile further pressure in Prime Minister Rishi Sunak, Health Secretary Victoria Atkins and the British Medical Association's Junior Doctors Committee to resume talks and agree to a deal. Zverev segment blasts Germany into United Cup final. Sports after this breather.
Alif Sata. Ada twist dia kat ujung nanti kan.
Menyeramkan.
Yes, dia memang seram. Saya banyak kali ambil yang bekas popcorn tu tutup mata.
Mengerikan sangat-sangat. Jump scare all the time.
Sentuhan ni masih ada, berbisa lagi. Saya bagi 10++.
10, no 110. Memang sangat-sangat best, tak ada bosan langsung.
Kalau 10, saya bagi dia 7.
7/10.
8/10.
Weh, korang, siapa sangka tinju terus tertinju ke hati awak. Tapi kan, ada sesuatu yang menghentikan mimpinya.
나 죽어도 안 해요. 우리 엄마 권투 때문에 죽었어요.
그러니까 알게 해달라고. 어쩌다 권투를 하게 됐는지, 왜 권투를 관뒀는지.
My Lovely Boxer, mulai 9 Januari, setiap Selasa hingga Khamis, 11 malam. Syoknya berke-drama di Cam Sarang TV3 dan stream sekarang melalui Tonton.
Sports tennis, the United Cup. Alexander Zverev and Laura Schickmann fought hard in the deciding mixed doubles to guide Germany into the final, defeating the hosts Australia on Saturday night. Former world number one Angelique Kerber gave Germany an early 1-0 lead after she came from a set down to defeat Ayla Tomljanovic 4-6, 6-2, 7-6 in 2 hours and 34 minutes. However, Australia levelled the score when Alex de Minaur rallied past two-time NATO ATP Finals champion Zverev 5-7, 6-3, 6-4 in the men's singles. Zverev and Schickmann then teamed up to clinch a hard-fought 7-6, 6-7, 15-13 victory against Matthew Hamdan and Storm Hunter in the mixed doubles event to seal the tie. With the victory, Germany secured a spot in the final and will battle against Poland for the title on Sunday.
In another match, world number one Iga Świątek survived an early scare to secure Poland's spot in the final as her team beat France in Sydney. Świątek was taken to 3 sets by former world number 4 Caroline Garcia before prevailing 3-6, 6-1, 6-1 to wrap up the tie. Earlier, 26-year-old Hubert Hurkacz, who is at a career-high number 9 in the ATP rankings, gave Poland a 1-0 lead after dominating Adrian Manarino in straight sets 6-3, 7-5. With this result, Poland made history by advancing to their first United Cup final.
And we're still on tennis. Top seed Holger Rune of Denmark overcame Russian Roman Safiullin to move into the final of the ATP Brisbane International.
The world number 8 defeated Safiullin with a straight set 6-4, 7-6 victory to reach his 9th ATP Tour level final. Rune will be up against Bulgarian Grigor Dimitrov, the second seed, next. In the women's category, second seed Elena Rybakina put on a serving masterclass as she stormed into the final with a 6-3, 6-2 win over Linda Noskova. The Russian-born Kazakh blasted 8 aces past the Czech on her way to the 63-minute win, breaking her opponent once in the first set and twice in the second. Rybakina, who won Wimbledon in 2022, will play top seed Aryna Sabalenka next. Earlier, Sabalenka advanced to the final after securing a 6-2, 6-4 victory over Victoria Azarenka. The win extended the 25-year-old streak to 15 on Australian soil as she looks to defend her Australian Open crown.
Coming up, headless body of women found stuffed into garbage bin. Don't go away.
Memang sedih lah. Nak terima tu ambil masa yang agak lama. Lepas tu bila dapat tahu tiba-tiba abang sakit, lepas tu mengalami kanser usus tahap 4 ni, memang rasa kita reda lah. Doakan saya. Doakan saya kuat. InsyaAllah saya jaga dia.
Hello Doktor melihat perkembangan terkini dalam dunia kesihatan.
COVID-19 ini sebenarnya dia ada pattern dia sendiri. Memang ada peningkatan daripada bulan 11 lagi sehinggalah sekarang.
Apakah langkah bagi menangani penyakit tidak berjangkit?
Penyakit tidak berjangkit ni selalunya dikaitkan dengan amalan cara hidup kita.
2024 Malaysia Sihat di Hello Doktor, Ahad 5.30 petang di TV3 dan stream juga melalui Tonton.
Welcome back. Selangor Police have picked up 3 local media practitioners for trespassing at the Selangor Menteri Besar's official residence in Shah Alam on Friday. Shah Alam District Police Chief Assistant Commissioner Muhammad Iqbal Ibrahim said the arrests were made following a report lodged by a man working as an operations assistant at the Menteri Besar's official residence. All 3, aged between 31 and 35, did not have any prior criminal records. Iqbal added that the 3 men claimed they were attending a meeting at the residence but did not have a formal invitation from the Menteri Besar's office. The trio are remanded for 2 days from January 6 to assist in the investigations. Investigations are being carried out under the Penal Code, which carries a penalty of imprisonment for up to 3 months or a fine of up to 1,000 ringgit or both. Police also advised the public to abide by the laws to prevent such incidents from occurring. Police arrested 5 individuals suspected of having been involved in a brawl between 2 football teams in Rawang on Friday. In a statement on Saturday, Sungai Buloh Police Chief Syafaatun Abu Bakar said the incident occurred between players from Sungai Buaya FC and Garage FC at Persiaran Gamuda Garden 1, Bandar Gamuda at 8 p.m. The clip of the brawl went viral over social media. It showed people hitting each other with crash helmets and a chair. Following police reports by the 2 teams, 5 people aged between 14 and 39 were arrested. They were being investigated under the Penal Code for rioting. It is learned that one of the complainants, a 14-year-old boy, sustained bodily injuries after trying to stop the fight but was assaulted by other players. The decapitated body of a woman believed to have been murdered and stuffed into a garbage bin was found in a drain on the Alor Gajah Tampin Trunk Road near Kampung Rimau, Pulau Senang, Melaka last Sunday. Alor Gajah Police Chief Superintendent Arshad Abu said the body, suspected to be that of a woman in her 20s to 30s with both hands and feet cut off, did not have any identifications on it or at the scene of discovery. The body parts found at about 2 p.m. last December 31st were incomplete and was discovered by the public before it was reported to the police. Initial investigations revealed that the body was in a state of decomposition when it was discovered, suggesting that the woman had been dead for 7 to 10 days. The body was sent to the Melaka Hospital for an autopsy to determine the cause of death and for identification purposes. Police had also conducted DNA tests on 2 missing persons cases in the past month, but the results were negative. The case has been classified as murder and investigation is conducted under the Penal Code. In the Federal Capital, police have detained a 15-year-old student for allegedly assaulting his schoolmate. The incident is believed to have been triggered by the victim's refusal to skip school, leading the assailant to forcefully strike the victim's face and chest using a helmet. Sentul Police Chief Ahmad Muhammed Zahari confirmed that a report on the incident was received from the victim's father on Friday. The suspect was believed to have been dissatisfied and forcibly took the victim on a motorcycle to Segambut Dalam, where the victim was repeatedly struck in the face and chest using a helmet. During the incident, a video recording was made by the suspect's friends and the video has since gone viral on social media. The 15-year-old suspect was promptly taken into custody and a red helmet believed to have been used in the assault was seized as evidence. The case is being investigated under the Penal Code relating to intentionally causing injury using a weapon. If found guilty, the suspect could face a maximum sentence of up to 10 years fines or caning. This edition of Nightline, but before we go, let's take a look at South Korea's annual Hwacheon Ice Fishing Festival, where thousands of locals and foreign tourists enjoyed ice fishing at a frozen lake. With that, I'm Muhammed Hamdan. Thanks for tuning in and stay safe, Malaysia.